Good evening. I'm broadcasting to you from a very secure location. We're at a safe house. I will not state which state, if any state of the United States we're even in. We, of course, being my family and myself. I have contacts up and down the eastern seaboard from coast to coast and around the world. If Professor Fancy Shoes thinks that he can follow me to my final destination, he thinks wrongly. We have had a CIA operative confirm that this concept of targeted individuals, folks who are gang stalked because they know too much or because they can think on their own outside of the box and choose free will over societal norms, is indeed fact. We're going to share some of these facts with you this evening, or is it morning? Wherever you are or wherever I am. First of all, let's listen to what Erica Lee Thatcher says. This isn't just me because of what I may or may not know about the drones and the chemtrails and the sprays and the fogs and the diabolical, nefarious plan of the elite. Listen to what Erica Lee Thatcher says. This is going on with approximately 10,000 people just in America and others around the world. Erica writes, I'm glad I'm not the only one being followed, harassed, and stalked. I moved clear across the country to get away from my stalker. There's no reason for this person to even be around me now, but I still run into her like at my doctor's, at the store that's nearby me a lot. This person also likes to dress like me. She too tries to get me into legal trouble for no reason. It all started when her dog attacked my dog years ago, and years later she still haunts me. The police will not do anything about it either. I have tried over the years. The courts pretty much laughed it off when I tried to get a protection order. But here's an example of someone who's being stalked across the country, around the country, simply because of an altercation with pets. At least that's what she's led to believe. Could it be something more than that? Listen to this. And if you guys watch this channel I'm getting ready to reference, I want you to let me know what channel this is. Not because I want to contact this person, because I don't. I don't want to do any sort of collaboration with them, but this is interesting. This is such a serious issue that clearly there's one individual, at least, that has an entire YouTube channel based upon them being a targeted individual who was stalked. This comes from Francine Marie, 1096, who writes, Hello, Kevin. I am a subscriber to another channel who is a person also targeted, TI, targeted individual. This person has been harassed, yelled at for no reason, and followed everywhere whenever he or she steps foot out of his or her room or apartment. So she's being very, very vague, doesn't want me to know. I would love to know. I would watch this channel if I knew which channel it was. Unfortunately, they always know where he, she is because they're on foot. The license for driving has been taken away. Their small boathouse put on fire. Their animals poisoned, to name a few. Sounds like my quail birds from here just about a month ago. Then they harass this person inside their home with the noise of leaf blowers, with loud music, chainsaws, and whatnot. Even evil trinkets left on the outside of the door. I have seen the videos for many years and always thought there was surely a portion of paranoia in there, but I don't think so anymore. I would very much like for you two to make contact, but his or her channel is also closely monitored. Thank you for what you do, an old lady from Quebec. Listen, I don't want to have contact with this person because I'm a lone wolf. I do my own thing, and I, keep boundaries. But if anybody knows the channel that this person is referencing, I sure would like to know the name of that channel. All right. Now, we received this email from Eve. Eve writes, Hi, Kevin. Just a thought. R.E., that professor and his companion. Eve's talking about Professor Fancy Shoes. Yes, Professor, you no longer will receive the respect of being called Professor X, because that does sound like an arch villain in a superhero thing, comic book strip / movie or whatever, like X-Men with Patrick Stewart from the 90s. You are not Patrick Stewart. You are not even on the same level. Therefore, you will be called Professor Fancy Shoes forevermore. You and your little blaze orange driving leather slippers. You've robbed me up, brah. Professor Fancy Shoes. Eve writes, Eve continues, child trafficking is rampant, and you mentioned you have a child. My mind got me thinking that maybe this is not about drones, etc., but your son. Keep him in eye line, especially on your holidays. You mentioned he was sleeping while you were at breakfast with your wife. Make sure he's with you. Go with him when he's using restrooms. Just stand outside the stall. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but the orange shoes got me thinking. Look it up. This is a messed up world we live in, and sadly, evil is rampant. My daughter is a social worker, and she has made me aware of networks that abound and those who front them. People just like the professor. Praying for your safety, Eve. Thank you, Eve. I actually received your email last night in a motel we were staying in after trying to shake Professor Fancy Shoes yet again. It's why I didn't make and upload a video this morning, because I wanted to make sure we were in a safe, secure location where I could make a video to let you folks know we were safe, where there would be no identifying anything behind me. Folks were picking up, listen, and these were good-natured folks. Somebody actually contacted us while we were in Key West and told me they knew exactly which motel we were staying in because they used to clean there and recognized the pictures on the wall. And guess what? They were exactly right. Someone else said, hey, I know exactly where you're staying because you said you were 3 blocks from the beach, but you had to go wide 2 blocks to get around resort. I bet that was Casa Marina Resort. It was. And you folks were warning me I was giving away too much information. It would be easy for anybody to find me. You were right. So, Eve, I took your email to heart. That's why I didn't make a video today from anywhere where I could be identified, though I did take a picture of that crap about how there's a $1 surcharge for every egg ordered at Waffle House now because of the premium they're putting on eggs because of the hachoo. Hachoo. And it hasn't even officially been declared the next pandemic yet. But already Waffle House is charging $1 extra for every egg that comes in your order. We bought an 18-pack of eggs today, and this might be too much information. You might be able to identify closely where I am based upon this, but an 18-pack, which cost $1.59, my wife pointed out when we first came here 8 years ago, when we moved here from the Philippines. 8.5 years ago, I was coming back after nearly a decade of overseas, Middle East, Southeast Asia, going around Europe, doing stuff. $1.59 back then. Today, we paid $8.50 for an 18-pack of eggs. Hachoo. Hachoo. All right, moving on. We got another email. We got a lot of emails, folks. I'm reading them. I'm catching. And remember, the stories about abductions, UFO sightings, all these strange things, cryptids, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, supernatural, paranormal. The emails that aren't being read on the channel are being packaged together and released in the True Hauntings series, which is available on Amazon in both print and Kindle. The link is in the description box below. We are getting ready to publish volume 8 of this. Real stories from real people from around the world who have witnessed UFO events, who have been abducted. The list goes on to the crazy stuff. The truths that they, like Professor Fancy Shoes, do not want you to hear about, we are getting out there to the world. And I believe that's why I've become a targeted individual who's being gang-stalked. Got a CIA operative confirming this. We'll get to it. Let me read what Deb says, okay? Deb in her email writes, hi, Kevin. My name is Deb V. from Canadian Appalachia, and you can use this name and story. Folks, you can send me your stories. You got to give me your permission to share them. The email address to the channel here is crazylake@mail.com. So Deb says, I am so glad you're sharing all this info, Kevin, and I'm pretty sure that's why you're being targeted. My experience with the narcissistic/demonic program started at birth. I'm 71 now, but it came to a head after a car accident that was deliberate by an ex-employer that rendered me disabled. I was so harassed after that. So a former employer intentionally, sounds like hit her car with their car. She says, I bought a van, packed up my belongings, and got my friend to drive me 500 miles away to his home in Appalachia. Let me just say this. If you want to go to a safe place, Appalachia is not a bad place to go. Just saying. And yes, Professor Fancy Shoes, if you think that's where I am and you got the testicular fortitude to go into the deep, dark hollers of Appalachistan to try to find me, may the God of your choosing be with you. You're going to need a lot more than a fancy, bright orange pair of leather driving shoes to keep you safe, buddy. She continues. We had just hit the highway when we were surrounded by 3 white transport trucks with no logos. One in front, one behind, and one beside us. This is gangstalking, folks. We were locked in with no escape, and my friend was white-knuckling it for almost an hour as these trucks did not move and kept us at top speed. Only when they were slowed down enough could we safely exit the highway. Since arriving here, I've seen at least 5 different UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomenon, stayed in a home that was hit by lightning and was tracked twice in one night by a UAP when I tried to leave my home. Now I'm dealing with many chemtrails over my home. Me too. And then now it's to the point to where, because of my exposure in Florida, which is ground zero, particularly in northern Florida, all the way up almost to Savannah in southern Georgia, coming out of that mess, it was such a fog, a haze, the smoke, the chemtrails. It was criminal, I tell you. Now I've got to drink something with lime in it to soothe my throat. From my research, she continues, I've learned that they only go for productive, honest members of society, and they hire the riffraff to do their dirty deeds done dirt cheap for gift cards, cash, promotions, or under compulsion of blackmail. So they'll find riffraff. They'll find degenerates and basically threaten to blackmail them. Some of these street people that they're threatening to deport to third world countries like El Salvador, they'll go to them and say, hey, we know there's outstanding warrants for your arrest and you're already a convicted felon. You either go gang stalk this person, this targeted individual, or you're done. And of course, what's the degenerate going to do? They're going to do what they're told by these evildoers so they don't end up in a third world super prison. That's what they're going to do. You don't have to be a Professor Fancy Shoes to know that. She continues, their goal is to, A, drive you into a mental illness state so you lose credibility and get committed to an institution. B, cause you to commit or perform self-unaliveness. C, degrade you so much that you commit a crime and then you're institutionalized. If there's a positive to this, it's that life has never been boring. LOL. Hey, you got to be able to laugh about it. Otherwise, you're going to cry, right? Stay safe and keep your head on a swivel. Trust me, I have been. Now, here's another targeted individual. Russell. Okay, Russell sent us an email. He says, hi, Kevin. Listen, Russell's targeted because he's known about these drones for a long time, as in like over 20 years. Listen to Russell's story. Kevin, my name is Russell. You can share this story, if you want. I have thought I was crazy for years. I've had people follow me. I've been places where there is no people, in the woods camping, and all of a sudden there's cars' headlights in the distance. As I walk toward them, they shut the lights off and leave. This all started when I was in the military at Fort Leonard Wood for basic training in AIT. I was at the main office and I overheard a high-ranking military official talking with what looked like an FBI agent about drones flying in the area. This was before the drones, this was back in 2004. They didn't know I was there until they saw me. I cannot reveal what was said for fear of my safety, but I can say the drone spraying biochemical spray is 100% true, and it's been happening for years. They have had this tech for a long time. Russell, thank you. I wish that you had been able to communicate to this channel years in advance so we could have given a warning. But this past fall, these drones came out in full force with their deadly fog, their deadly sprays. We've got stories on this channel people have shared with us of these things being in their houses. Oh, Russell, if only you could have warned us 20 years ago. But thank you for sharing with us now. Listen, here's confirmation about everything I've told you about the fog in Florida. I'm convinced, folks, Florida's ground zero. You've seen it all over the internet where they tested the snow down there, the very similar type of snow that killed my quail birds, and it tested positive for some sort of bacterium and parasites. Listen to this, fog in Florida. This is from George B. George B. writes, Kevin, I was talking to my wife, who is in Winter Garden, Florida, planning her 70th birthday party. She told me how she had been sick with a cold or something, and at the end of our conversation, she said, I don't know what is going on here, but there is a fog that is hanging around and not burning off like it normally does. She has been there to this part of Florida for 3 years now during this time of year, winter. This is not normal as she has been visiting Florida for years. You have my permission to share this with your channel. You can call me George, as you did last time. So George has contacted us before. Thanks for all you're doing. Be safe, you and your nice family, George B. Confirmation, folks. Florida's ground zero. If you're in Florida and you're ill, and listen, on the way out, we stopped, where was it? Big Pine Key for one last meal before we left the Keys, and this was a couple days back, all right? And I'm probably giving you too much information. But we stopped at a place as soon as we crossed a very long bridge that connected one key to the other to have our lunch because they had shoreside dining. There wasn't like anybody there. It was 2 p.m. It was past the lunch rush. We got some delicious Cuban food. My mouth is watering right now thinking about it. It was pork belly. My wife loves pork belly. She's Filipino. We ate that all the time in the Philippines. She cooks it here. Oh my gosh. I had a grilled blackened hogfish. Cost $30 for a lunch size portion. It was the best grilled blackened hogfish I have ever eaten in my life. Oh my God. So anyway, while we were ordering our food, the Cuban lady who ran the joint was talking to another customer, and both were talking about how everybody they knew was sick. And they were talking about how there must be a flu going around, a virus or a bug, because it was flu-type symptoms, but it never hit them until they got to Florida. Do the math, folks. Do the math. You don't have to be as educated as a Professor Fancy Shoes to know that 2 + 2 will always equal 4. Here's the confirmation, CIA op confirmation. This comes from King Alfred Gaming, who yesterday wrote here to the channel. My uncle is in the CIA. I showed him your video. This is about me being trailed by Professor Fancy Shoes. He watched it and he didn't say anything until afterwards. I asked him what he thought about the guy with the driving shoes, and he said, and I quote, sounds like he is being followed. Me. This guy's being followed. He then asked me what your channel name is, and he was going to look you up and check out your videos. Well, he watched a few of your videos. I ended up calling him about 15 minutes ago and asked him what he thought. He said from what he has heard you talk about, the drones, the UAPs, etc., and the fact that you're a veteran, he said you've definitely got someone's attention, either government or private entities. And he told me you need to be careful, so I figured I'd at least comment on it. Hope everything works out for you, brother. From one vet to the next, best wishes and God bless, brother. King Alfred Gaming, thank you for your services. Thank you for your service. So, folks, the plot has thickened. I will not stop bringing you these facts. I have traveled down to the southernmost point of the continental United States, Key West, Florida. Then I took a boat 40 miles out to go snorkeling and parasailing and boat riding and having margaritas and draft Michelob Ultras on the boat. And I did it for you. To get the truths, plural, they don't want us to know. And I'm not going to stop just because I've got some fancy schmancy professor with fancy blaze orange leather driving shoes following me around with his multiple associates that are supposed to portray as wives, yet they're different individuals at different times. Or perhaps, as one viewer pointed out in a recent comment, it could be the same individual wearing disguises. We don't know, but we will not stop reporting the truth. Send us your stories, folks. If you've had any experiences with the drones, UFOs, UAPs, abductions, aliens, Bigfoot, the supernatural, ghosts, demons, possession, send them to the channel. Give us your permission to share. And if you don't want us to share your name, tell us and we will keep you anonymous. The email address is crazylake@mail.com. That email address is in the description box below. For the literally thousands of stories we get that have not been shared on this channel simply because there's not enough time in the day to do it, make sure to go to the link in the description box below, which will take you to Amazon to where you can read those stories in the True Hauntings volumes. Hundreds of you daily are doing it. If you're missing out on reading those stories, you're missing out on reading those stories. I will stay in touch. I will come to you as I can safely, when I can safely, because we're all in this together. See you for more next time.